Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in as always. Have a cool knife to share with you guys today. You've been asking for, or some of you guys have been asking for me to share more of the knives from my custom collection. And so in today's video we're going to take a look at a custom knife from a new knife maker. And his name is Craig Brown of Brown Knives out of Washington State. So Craig is an aerospace engineer, and he decided that he wanted to start making knives, and so in a very ambitious move, his first knife was actually a full integral, and it is called the Parabolic here. So we'll go through the specs, overall impressions, details, and then I have kind of a long story associated with this knife that makes it really special for me, and so I'm going to do my best to share that story with you guys. So ships with this really nice case here with some custom inserts. There's his logo, Brown Knives. Move that out of the way. And I'm going to just give you guys a really quick up-close look at this beautiful, beautiful build. So copper inlays. There's that really cool integral construction. Full titanium body, titanium pocket clip, stainless steel liner lock, ceramic bearings, ceramic detent, stainless steel washers, flipper tab, opening cutout. Really neat piece. So, yeah. Alright, specs. So again, it's an integral. I think we've covered that. The blade steel is RWL 34. This one was given a hand rub finish. It was his first attempt with a hand rub, and he did not enjoy it. Don't know how many more he'll be doing. I think it was a lot more work than he anticipated, as I think everyone says. The stainless steel liner is 416. It's been heat treated. The entire knife has been given an orange peel finish on the titanium as well as the copper inlays, and that does help protect against scratches. So, uses an Alpha Knife Supply pivot. Again, stainless washer, ceramic bearing, ceramic detent ball. Blade length is 3.6 inches. Handle length is 4.5. Handle thickness is 0.58 inches. And it weighs in at a pretty hefty 7 ounces. Although that weight shouldn't really surprise most of you considering that it is a big slab of titanium. So, yeah. The hole here is functional. Middle finger flick. Slow roll. I haven't tried to flick it over. Yeah, works that too. And then, of course, it is primarily a flipper. So, yeah. All right. Overall impressions. It's a beautiful custom piece. I love the ambition. I love the reason that he got into knife making. I love the story associated with the knife. It's just a really cool piece in my collection. And it's different from a lot of my other knives. It's, I don't know, it just has a different feel. It has kind of a different vibe. The copper will patina, of course. It's already starting to patina just a little bit because I've carried this one a couple times, and it will continue to patina over time. So the copper will be less shiny, a little more dull. There's a lot of different copper things that patina. So anyways, I like the fact that it kind of grows with you or changes with you. Some of you guys may not like the fact that copper patinas, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. So those are the specs. Those are the overall impressions. Fit and finish is excellent. It's perfectly centered. No issues worrying about touching the tip. The action, honestly, it's still breaking in on the ceramic bearings, but as you can see, it flips really well. It opens aggressively, nice sharp edge, partial flat grind. It cuts well. Everything is, pretty clean from a manufacturing standpoint. I can find no visible flaws, although Craig was complaining that, they're not perfect enough yet. One of his goals for 2017 is to pick up a better quality CNC machine and get even tighter tolerances. But again, I can't find any flaws on this one, with the naked eye or, looking as close as I can at it. So, pretty cool. Anyhow, let's talk a little bit about Craig. So Again, aerospace engineer. About a year ago, he decided he wanted to make something. And if you guys know engineers, they love projects. So he was looking around, came across knives, and he liked all the aspects of knife making. The different materials, heat treating, how to finish the materials, finish on the blade steel, finish on the titanium, copper, the geometry aspect, the math aspect, the design aspect. There's just a lot of elements for him to tweak and modify, and he can chase, perfection in any one of those categories as he works to perfect the knife as a whole. So he decided on knives. And he started looking around. He found, the YouTube videos from the Grimsmo brothers, learned a lot of basic information, started looking at different knife designs, mixed in his love for math, the Parabolic here, which is the model name. Hopefully I've said that correctly up to this point, is based on a parabola, which is a graph shape or shape in math. I don't know. Math doesn't necessarily excite me, so you'll have to ask him why the parabola and, hence the design of the parabolic and so forth. Anyhow, he started out doing some 3D prints. He did some metal prototypes. He went to the Eugene Knife Show in Oregon, took some early prototypes, got some feedback, and then he spent the next couple of months essentially refining the process. And at some point in that process, he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I'm making a knife. Would you be interested in looking at it?" And I said, "Yeah. Send it my way. I'd be happy to take a look at it. If I like it, then I'll go ahead and buy it from you. We'll see how it goes first." And I like what came. And to be honest, it wasn't this knife. This is actually the second one he's made for me, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the cool things about this new wave of engineers that essentially build knives with CNC machines in their garage is that you get someone who's very, very passionate and very particular about creating a perfect product. For Craig, this is his hobby. It's not like he does this to put food on the table or he has to get X number of knives out each month to pay the rent. It's simply a project, and it's something that he can do, something might generate a little of income, but his primary interest is creating, which is really neat. And so as technology evolves, we see people with technical skills getting into knife making, whereas before it was maybe people with artistic skills that learn the process of knife making. So there have been several new guys kind of in this category as of late, and it's really interesting to see. His books are closed, so he's still kind of tweaking how he wants to do the book format. For the time being, he thinks that once he gets through this initial batch of orders, he's simply going to create things that interest him and put them up for sale, and if they sell, awesome. And I have no doubt that they will. He will be at Blade Show this year, no table, but he'll be wandering around, hopefully with like a brown knife shirt or something. That way you can track him down, see what he's carrying, talk to him about stuff. So, yeah. But anyhow, that is who Craig is. So let me tell you guys about the story. So Craig sent me his first completed knife, the first one he felt comfortable letting go. So I had knife, 0 or 1, or it was one of those. I had the first knife he ever made, and it was made out of an aluminum handle with an acid stonewash blade with Damascus inlays and a Damascus pocket clip. You guys can see that knife on Instagram. So he sent me the knife. Initially it had some lock stick because he, about a week after I had it, he said, "Hey, I've redone the lock geometry. Do you want to send it back to me so I can, redo it on your knife?" And I said, "It's fine. It had some lock stick. I've worked it out. It's perfect now." Well, a couple weeks later, the lock stick came back, which you guys who have custom knives, you've seen this happen before. And, I did, cleaned it, put some graphite on it. I was working it, giving all the calluses on my hands a good workout. And I contacted him. I said, "Hey, Craig, the lock stick came back. Would you take a look at it?" And he said, "Of course, please send it to me." So I sent him the knife, and he said, "Hey, I want to do some custom work on this knife." And I said, "Yeah, go for it. Whatever you want to do, I'm totally fine with." So he took my knife, and about 2 weeks later, he sent me a picture of this knife. And I was like, wow. I'm like, that's an entirely new knife. He's like, yeah, just kind of happened. So, and the joke was, or at least I thought it was a joke, he had said, hey, if you ever get rid of, my first knife made, I called dibs, I want it back. So my joke was, I'm like, hey, you built me a whole new knife just so you could get your first one back. And I found out he took it apart and hasn't put it back together. So tugs at my heartstrings a little bit, but I prompted him to put that back together and put it in his shop somewhere to remind him. But anyway, so sent my knife back in, made me a completely new one, went way over the top of this thing. And I don't know, it's cool. I dig it. I love integrals. I love the difficulty that it poses to manufacturers. And again, doing this from it was a manual mill that he converted into a CNC, and he's building full integral knives on what we'll call an older mill. Is really impressive. I mean, it's just straight kind of devotion. The spine is completely rounded. I don't know. Everything's just nice. And from here, he's actually doing some other crazy stuff. If you look at his Instagram, he just milled out his first full integral carbon fiber knife, and so he's kind of playing with that, figuring out how he can refine and tweak and perfect that process. And the cool thing about people who do this primarily as a hobby is they pursue perfection to the degree that we as collectors want. So, man, a couple months down the line, he's just going to drop a new design and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing now. And he's going to keep things fresh and keep things moving and continue to refine and upgrade equipment, work with more difficult and challenging materials. And yeah, all that's really cool. So along with when he sent me my first knife and we were talking about it and we were doing feedback, I gave him a couple things that I liked more on knives. I sent him a few different knives to play with that I thought that executed their flipper tabs well, that had really interesting, lock bar or locking features. I sent him a couple knives that I thought might help to better him as a maker. Because up to the point that he made his first knives, the most expensive and nicest knife he'd ever handled was a $40 production knife. So when I sent him a couple $200, $300, $400 knives, those were the nicest knives he has handled up to that point, aside from obviously his customs. So yeah, I don't know, it's just really interesting to kind of watch the progression and watch him move so quickly, into what are viewed by most makers as the most difficult builds. So there are only a few other custom makers who consistently make integral knives. Peter Vicenti's one, of course. Scott Cook, Michael Raymond, those guys do integrals quite regularly. But other than that, not too many, and not too many production companies either. I think we've seen a peak recently with Spyderco, Reich, Custom Knife Factory, We Knives. A few of the overseas manufacturers are giving it a stab. But anyhow, this video has been more about the story and the process than the knife necessarily, but ergonomics are very comfortable in the hand. It's kind of a big, thick, round knife, just comfortable, and one that you can definitely put to use if you want to. Lockup is rock solid. He also implemented a stainless steel lock bar kind of based on my input. I'm not typically a fan of titanium contacting steel. I much prefer steel to steel. That way, if you get some lubricant on the pivot or on the lock face, you don't have to worry about trying to take this thing apart to clean it. There's where the lock bar connects to the frame. So pocket clip works beautifully. I've seen new makers struggle with pocket clips typically, trying to get the spacing correct and the spring tension correct and have it go in and out of the pocket easily. In this one, he nailed on the first try, so really impressive. But let's do one more up close look at all of the time, all of the detail. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed taking a look at this one from my custom collection. The jimping is inset, but as you can see, it's fairly aggressive, but the combination of inset and aggressive, it grabs the thumb pretty well when you intend it to. Otherwise, you just kind of slide over the top, but when you go down purposely. It grabs really, really well. So yeah, there are a couple things unique to this one, like the D-shaped cutout on the blade was something that I preferred. The jimping on the flipper tab, the new shape of the flipper tab, the stainless steel lock insert, the lock bar. You know, these were all kind of inputs that I gave him and he ran with. So anyways, he's pretty much open to just about everything on the custom orders that he has. Again, he's still trying to refine that book process and figure out how he wants to do everything. But I think he'll be a really fun maker to watch. So down in the description box below, I will put a link to his website as well as his Instagram, and definitely recommend that you guys give him a follow. Watch his work, see what he does, watch as he upgrades equipment and improves, and you know, not that you can find any flaws here, because I certainly can't, but it'll be really cool to see him kind of nerd out and just like get insane tolerances and perfect his craft, which, man, you know, first knife integral. I mean, it's crazy to think that this is his first knife, and it's so well done. You may not like the styling, but I hope you can respect the work and the passion. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed taking a look at this video and listening to my story. I'm sure I missed a couple things, but you guys get the idea. So be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and be kind enough to give me a thumbs up. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.